Hi, hey. I don't like that intro I just did. That was bad. I'm going to redo that. Wow. Hey there, adventurers. Welcome to Let's Just Go podcast. I'm Kayla, and this week Chris is not joining me, but that's okay because I'm going to be talking all about solo travel. I actually recently took my first international solo trip, which was a really great time. I will say I wasn't solo the whole entire time, but I did learn a lot about being solo internationally. And I wanted to just take some time to talk about it. I actually recently spent 2 weeks in the UK. I flew into London. I then went to Birmingham and Manchester and York, and then came back to London before flying home. And in my time in London, I was by myself. And then when I was in Northern England, I was actually with some friends, but I did travel to and from solo as well. And I will say, I've traveled solo in the US pretty frequently. I'm usually going to Disney when I've traveled solo in the US. So it's a little different, obviously. And I really, really enjoyed my time in London by myself. I was absolutely terrified on my way to the airport. I thought I was going to throw up. I was texting my boyfriend and being like, why am I doing this? This is such a bad idea. Oh my God. Because I was traveling to go to concerts. So I went to two concerts in Birmingham and Manchester, and then I went to see a friend of mine in York. But the easiest flight for me was in and out of London. And I figured if I'm going to be here for a couple of days, I might as well be here for a while. So I stayed at two different places in London. One was near Hyde Park, and the other was right in like the West End, Soho area, literally right outside of Chinatown. And it was really nice to be in areas that were well populated. To have the hotel staff really like know who I was really reassuring for me because I don't know anyone in London. That's not true. I have some people that are acquaintances in London, but like I don't have like their phone numbers to just like text them if something goes wrong. And everybody that I know for the most part was at least 6 hours behind me in time, if not even more, because most of the people I know are on the West Coast. So they were 9 hours behind me. So if something were to go wrong, I was a little concerned about what I would do. That being said, I had such a good time. It was so nice to be able to like eat what I wanted to eat and do what I wanted to do. And like I went and saw some Broadway, not Broadway. It's not Broadway, Kayla, it's the West End. I went and saw some West End shows. It was actually London Theater Week while I was there, so I got some great deals. Saw Book of Mormon. I saw a really interesting show called Electra. It was Brie Larson. It was experimental, we'll say. And I saw Mean Girls the musical. So that was really great. I didn't have to like check in with the people that I was traveling with to see if they wanted to do it. I just like grabbed last minute tickets and went. I did some tours on my own, which were really fun. So my first day that I was in London, I actually did a pub tour, which was great because I didn't want to drink by myself. So I was like, well, I'll go do a tour because it's weird to just like I think it's weird to just go to a bar by yourself in a place that you don't know and like sit and drink, which I realize is like probably me projecting, but it's just not something I necessarily feel comfortable doing, especially as a woman in a foreign place. I don't want to just like go sit and get a beer and who knows what could happen to me. So I did a tour. That was really fun. I tried some beers that I otherwise wouldn't have tried. I got to see some real like traditional British pubs, which was really cool. I did a scone making class. That was a lot of fun. And actually, almost all of us in the scone making class were solo travelers, which was really great. We were like just like talking about the different things that we were doing while we were in town. I also did a Cotswolds day trip, which was so cool. And again, a lot of solo travelers, some smaller groups of like couples or like mom and daughter sort of thing, which was really fun. And we went to a couple of different locations in the Cotswolds, like a couple different little towns and villages, and had some time in each one. And then came back to London at the end of the day. So that was great. I really enjoyed that. And like I said, it was really nice to just like not have to ask people that you're with like what they want to do. I wasn't on anyone else's schedule. Like I got to wake up when I wanted to wake up. I could go get my coffee when I wanted to go get my coffee. I had days that I didn't really want to do anything, so I didn't. Where like when I'm traveling with other people, I sort of feel this obligation that, oh, they probably want to go do something. I need to hurry and go do something, which I'm realizing now, like specifically with my mom, that is not the case. She's not the like, oh my God, we have to go do something kind of person. She's like, no, I'm good. Let's go take a nap. And I'm like, no, we can't nap. I took a nap as soon as I got to London. It was 9 a.m. when I landed and I was exhausted. I got no sleep on my flight because that's the other thing about solo travel. You don't have the luxury of having somebody you know next to you on the plane. So I was just trying to like make myself as small as possible while sleeping in the window seat. And that was a lot easier said than done. And you don't have as much space to like eat your meal. And you feel bad for the person in the middle seat because we were all solo travelers on my flight to London. But I will say, I am the kind of person who uses both short-term rentals and hotels for traveling. So like on this trip even, I had short-term rentals and hotels that I was staying at, and I feel much more comfortable in a hotel traveling solo than I think I would have if I had been in a short-term rental because there was familiarity. If I needed something, there were people I could very quickly and easily get a hold of. For example, I didn't know what to have for dinner one night before a show, and I talked to the bell services guy for like 20 minutes about different places I could go to eat, and he was like giving me directions on like the best way to get to the theater I was going to, and he's like, "Oh, there's tons of options for food over there, so like get yourself over there and then get something to eat." And it's like you just don't quite get that experience with a short-term rental in the same way that you do with the hotel. And, there's no one like checking on your room every day to make sure that, you have all the things that you need. And if something had potentially gone wrong, there would be someone to check on me. So I really liked that. I got to eat the food I wanted to eat. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I am a DoorDash girly. I would much rather just order food to be delivered to me than go sit at a restaurant. Like going and sitting at a restaurant is not usually a good time for me because I'm very easily overstimulated. And it was nice to be able to just do that in my hotel room. Like when I was staying outside of Chinatown, I just would go into Chinatown and grab food and bring it back to my room. And that was great. But I did push myself out of my comfort zone. And on my last night, I took my book and I found a restaurant and I got a table for one and I sat and read my book and ate my meal. And it was very uncomfortable. And I just kept reminding myself that it was okay and I could do hard things. But I was also like the only person in the restaurant because I was eating at like 5 p.m. And then someone else, another American, came in and sat down behind me that was also solo. And that made me feel a little bit better. I was like, oh, good. Okay. I'm not the only person doing this. But it can be really not necessarily alienating, but you become sort of hyper aware of your surroundings when you're by yourself, which I don't think is a bad thing. But I just realized how many people actually travel alone when I was also traveling alone. And I think that when we are used to traveling with other people, we aren't as cognizant of it. It's sort of like how once you start driving a certain car, you see that car everywhere. That was how it felt. It was like, oh, now that I'm traveling by myself, I'm seeing all these other people that are traveling by themselves. Wow, this is a real thing that happens all the time. And it was really refreshing. I was thankful that I went to a country where I spoke the language as my first solo international trip because that was sort of an added comfort for me. I also felt very safe in London. I I'd been there before. This wasn't my first trip, so I had a general lay of the land. Also in doing tours when I first got there, that gave me connections to people in case, I like wanted some suggestions or I needed some help. Like there was somebody that I knew wasn't that far away that could help me. So, all in all, 10 out of 10 experience. I would do it again. It really, like I said, pushed me out of my comfort zone. And I'm really glad that I did that because 2025 has been one hell of a year so far. It's the end of March and I'm already like, it's kicking my ass. So, it was great to go do some hard things. And I would do it again. And I really had a great time. And I think that if you are apprehensive of solo travel, do it. I stayed at a Moxie, which is a Marriott brand in York, and I really thought it was great because it was definitely set up for solo travel. It felt hostel-ish, but elevated. Like the bed was comfortable and the room was a decent size, but they really encourage like community and getting to know the other people that are staying there, which I thought was great. Like they do like a cocktail hour and there's like board games and like just like all sorts of fun stuff to do. And I really appreciated that about Moxie specifically. That being said, I think everyone should travel solo at least once, whether that is internationally or domestically, or even if that's just going to a restaurant and having a meal by yourself. Like that, again, really pushed me out of my comfort zone, but I'm really glad that I did it. If you're interested in learning more about traveling solo or you have specific questions you want to ask me, I'm always available. And until next time, let's just go.